Yeah. El Chico Loco, Fast Eddie, Kid Ecstasy, Mass Flipper number 8, Mello, Sal Rinauro, A.K. Salvatore. Salvatore. No, that's the one that's going to fuck me up right there if I try this. Salvatore.
Should I spell it out phonetically next to it?
No. Salvatore.
That will just fuck you up.
No, it won't fuck me up.
Who's Salvatore?
Salvatore. El Chico Loco, Fast Eddie, Kid Ecstasy, Mass Flipper number 8. Never mind. Hello.
Working Fans Podcast. Cool.
Yep.
All right, here we go. Coming down 3, 2.
Welcome back for another week of the Working Fans Podcast. This is AJ. I'm the former wrestler. We've got Dave, the ultimate fan, here with us. As we do every week, our producer Joe likes to make us sound good and makes us look way more professional than we actually are. As always, you can find us on Twitter, that's @FansWorking, Facebook, Working Fans Pod. We've got email where you can reach out to us and please contact us to let us know what you think of the podcast and for any ideas that you might have. That's workingfanswrestlingpod@gmail.com. We're on Instagram where you can keep up with us at workingfanswrestling_pod. And then you can now listen to us on all major platforms, including Anchor.fm. We're on Google Podcasts, Spotify, Breaker, Overcast, Pocket Casts, Radio Public, Apple Podcasts, and you can actually check us out on YouTube. Now, it's important when you go onto the Apple Podcasts and YouTube, hit that subscribe button, give us a rating, let us know what you think so you can help us out and we can continue to do what we love and bring you guys in as fans.
All right, everybody, it's the Working Fans Podcast with Dave and Joe. My boy AJ, he might be dead. I don't know. He's probably alive.
You might go visit the Bubble Boy tomorrow, right?
Yeah. Let's talk. We're going to see each other. So, love you, AJ. Get better soon. All right, so this week I want to talk about Jake the Snake Roberts. On a night after AEW had a pay-per-view and they had a great show, NXT had 2 cage matches. The one thing I thought about Wednesday night over and over again to me was Jake the Snake Roberts, man. The guy can still fucking cut a hell of a promo. You know, first he comes out and he's like kissing the ring, kind of almost a babyface move because you tell he's genuinely excited to be there. But then he's quick to turn heel. You know, he's talking shit on Cody, and he's got the great line where he says at the end, a wise man, I wonder who said this, it was Dusty, Vince or somebody, but he says, a wise man once told me never turn your back on someone you're scared of or you respect. And he turns his back to Cody and tosses him the mic.
Yeah.
I mean, such good shit, and I can't wait for him and Iron to kind of interact with each other. AEW, you know, people can criticize them here and there, and you can't criticize the fact, I mean, you can if you're a dildo, but at the end of the day, I really love the fact what they're doing with the managers. You know, they're making these, you know, retired guys, legends of the sport, and they're giving them a mouthpiece, something we hadn't had in years.
Who's he bringing in?
Oh, good question. I think the money on this right now is on 2 people. Archer, who, on a side note, is the first time AEW promised something and didn't give it to us. Yeah. So there could be a reason for that. Or 2, Harper/Brody Lee, whatever you want to call him. He's been rumored to come in. He has a look that would fit Jake. Both of them do. And you know what? If you want a guy with Jake, I don't think you want a smaller guy like a Matt Hardy or somebody that Jake's going to tower over.
He's been the bigger talk about who's coming in.
Right.
It doesn't seem like it'd be the right fit, but, you know, all these names that are rumored to come in are signed and haven't come in yet. It's just going to be interesting to see who they pair with him.
Yeah, I like to think that Jake's going to get a big guy, like a Harper or an Archer.
Jake himself's a big guy, so it's hard to pair him with too many people.
That's why you need a guy like that, I think.
Yeah.
You know? And, I mean, both those guys actually, I think, are underrated talkers and would do fine, but Jake's on another level.
Yeah. Yeah, I was really interested to see him come out. And it was one of those interesting things in programming last week. Like, you saw that tonight, actually, because we're recording on a Tuesday right now. Yeah. The next 2 episodes of NWA Circle Squared are coming out.
Yes.
And Steve Carino's son is featured on one of them. And it's wild to see how much he looks like Carino right now. Mm-hmm. And it's wild to think between him and Hangman Page, two guys that 4 years ago were in a go-nowhere stable in ROH. Hangman Page has made something of himself, and now Carino's kid's getting that right breakout.
Yeah.
I can't wait for the episode tonight and to see how it plays out.
Yeah, and I believe he's going against George South, who they said that helped train him, actually.
Okay.
So there's a storyline here, and George basically is talking about, how he's helped the kid out a lot, but he's like, I'm not going to help him out here. I'm not giving up my chance.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Yeah, NWA is doing some great things, man. I'm super excited. Like we said, we got 2 episodes of that, and then we got NWA, is it Power Surge? Is that what it's called?
I think that's the next week.
That's what I'm saying, coming up after. Yeah, so we have a bunch of stuff, this is NWA Powerr next week. We have a couple of different things showing up.
Different programming coming out. That's
and
interesting.
And it's going to lead to the Crockett Cup.
Yeah, Kyle Davis talked about that slow rollout last week, and it was interesting to see how it's playing out now. Now, MLW this week had their 100th episode, and it was interesting. Did you watch it at all?
I did.
Now, that video package they played right before that world title match.
Yes.
Amazing video package with almost all of their champions. The only one they omitted was Shane Douglas.
Right.
Which, odd to see that they didn't include him, but when we start reviewing the shows coming up, we'll get into that a little more. But I thought it was overall a great episode. Just MLW still doing the right stuff.
Yeah, there was a thing with Wrestling Observer, like people's favorite shows, and I was a little disappointed MLW wasn't higher.
Yeah.
Like, I forget where it was, but it was like behind the Being the Elite weekly YouTube series, and to me it was like, no, I like that show, but MLW's doing great shit. I got no problem with NXT, AEW, and then NWA being the top 3. I was super happy to see NWA as like that 3rd spot. But, I just think enough people need to start watching MLW because they're doing great things.
I feel like Being the Elite almost started on YouTube. It's almost more that community where MLW's kind of focused more towards TV, and YouTube is just a place they place it where you can see it.
Right.
Which I'm very happy they
Me too.
do. But
Absolutely.
Maybe that affects where it stands. I think it's... Like, we tell everybody, between that and NWA, those are the 2 wrestling shows we're most behind.
Absolutely.
Now,
and look at our guest.
Yeah. Now, I actually made it a point to watch some of Elimination Chamber and some of Raw last night, and for the most part, it was alright. It's better than I've seen Raw be in a while.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't make it for the whole thing, but...
I will say, the Chamber. I had to be up early. I didn't watch all of it, but I haven't seen it yet. You can tell me if you watched it. I really like the way they booked Shayna Baszler, where apparently she just went out and destroyed everybody and tapped everybody out.
I did not see that. I was more for the early part of the show. I could not get over the Daniel Bryan Drew Gulak match.
You texted me during that, yes.
And who was the Luchador match that was on right after?
Well, there was the tag team chamber match where...
Nah, fuck that. It was... I want to say the second match on the card was Carrillo and Andrade.
Yes.
And that was just an amazing... Like, I really enjoyed the match between them. So that was like a good 1-2 punch to start it off.
It's funny, I didn't think of them as the Luchadors because they don't wear the mask.
Oh,
that's why immediately I went to Dorado and...
yeah.
Yeah, I'm all about the mask.
I mean...
Don't get me wrong, I know they have more heritage.
Yeah.
Right. It's just... That's just something I think automatically. When you tell me Luchador, I think mask wrestling.
Yeah. And the Chamber tag match, to me, it was just a little much. It felt cluttered.
How about the fact that you could tell Otis was lost at one point? Like, he's looking for Lindsay Dorado, and you could hear Otis and Tucker both going, Lindsay! Yeah. And then we find out this motherfucker's on top of the fucking cage.
Yeah.
You're right.
Doing a shooting star press from the top.
Motherfucker tried to kill himself, but it was almost like all for naught. Like, nobody really...
It was wild to see. I thought it was one of the better ones. I got to finish up the Chamber later. I'm not crazy about the Elimination Chamber,
me neither.
So to me, it's a good pay-per-view, but I didn't see the whole thing.
No, and the pay-per-view did better than I think what expected because there was no real fucking interest in it. So it kind of did. We didn't have high hopes.
And it was smushed too close to that Saudi show, and now we're this coming up Sunday, 3 weeks away. So that's not a ton of time, I don't think, but a lot of stuff.
Mania
in a little
card.
bit of time.
You're looking at the Mania card, just real quick. Obviously, we haven't been the biggest fans of the main roster, but if you had to pick something on the Mania card, Is there something sticking out to you right now that you would say, okay, I'm interested in that?
Charlotte versus Rhea Ripley for the NXT Ladies title. That's
you stole it from
the
me.
only thing.
Yeah, you know what? Because I have been paying a little more attention. The booking of Drew McIntyre, where he's been laying motherfuckers out and laying.
Oh yeah, they've
out.
been presenting him strong, and it's going to be cool to see him get a championship.
I heard he killed somebody's pet last night. I didn't see it, but
oh fuck yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I know people have a problem with that. Like, I was listening to the post show. They were saying almost kind of a heel move doesn't make any sense.
Yeah,
I do want to say, fuck that damn spider. It's not really a good thing for Drew to be booked in, but. We got rid of the fucking spider. I'm willing just to fucking admit it for this week. Like, that didn't happen.
To me, it just looked like a way to write the spider out. Like, all right, it sucked. Let's get rid of it.
Hey, Drew, can you do us a solid? We're going to put you in the skit. Can you just kill off this fucking thing? You had to lay out Brock twice. You mind just killing off this fucking spider? Yeah. I know you're a babyface, but can you kill this fucking dude's pet? While you're at it, maybe we'll bring Damien back.
What's more babyface than killing a spider?
I don't know. I just think we're going to bring back more pets, right? He's going to start killing Frankie the Bird. Hey, Harry Smith.
Dude, Fire did that.
Yeah, I knew he was actually fucking dead.
We heard Coco cry about it.
I'm sorry, Coco.
Listen to Matt Coon's podcast.
It's Coco, we love you, baby.
So you got it.
Joe's so hurtful.
You got anything else that stuck out to you this week?
No, man. Let's just have Drew kill more pets. All right. I don't know. I think that's it for me.
Shit, man. Yeah, I think I'm good.
And enough podcast.
I mean, we're not gonna advocate killing pets, but we're out. Later.
You can find negativity in anything, but like, what's the point? What do you accomplish?
Yeah, wasted energy.
Find the fun in it, man. Like, if you can't find fun in pro wrestling, I just don't understand what you're doing.
All right, everybody, it's the Working Fans Podcast. It's Dave with producer Joe, and we're here with El Chico Loco, Fast Eddie, Kid Ecstasy, Max Flipper number 8, Mello, Sal Rinauro, Salvatore Rinauro. You got a lot of names here. Hold on. Sal Del Rio and Sal the Pizza Boy, but most people know him as Sal Rinauro on NWA. Sal, how are you?
I don't. How's Sal or how's all those other characters? There's so many more.
Yeah,
all 20 of us are doing too.
He pulled that off a cage match database today, and I'm like, man, these are a lot of nicknames. I'm going to try to get them all in here.
Well, it's really funny because I get the Sal the Pizza Boy thing a lot. I swear to God, it was a one-time, one-off joke that I did that I don't know how that's the one that stuck with me. But I've gotten Sal the Pizza Boy more times than I was actually Sal the Pizza Boy.
Hey, that's just a sign it got over, I guess, right?
I totally didn't. I was there live. I felt it. Nobody cared. Not a soul on the planet. It was, what it was, back in 1905, when men were men and wrestling was wrestling, Jimmy Ray was doing an angle with Tony Mamaluke at NWA Wildside. And Jimmy took a liking to me for whatever reason, and Mamaluke was, the super strong Italian heel where he hated being, he hated any kind of Italian stereotypes.
Right.
So the whole spot was Mamaluke's got Jimmy in a Fujiwara arm bar. I walk out with pizza. They chant, "Where's my pizza?" He gets upset. Jimmy rolls him up. Then Jimmy and I share a slice of pizza. That was it. It was a one and done. It was never. It didn't have legs. It couldn't crawl. It was just literally nobody ever intended for it to be anything more than I walk out one time with pizza and Jimmy and I enjoy a free slice.
Hopefully you got paid more than that night.
No, I was about to say, that dispelled a lot of those wild side rumors, because that night we got a hot dog, a handshake, and a slice of pizza. So that was...
Nice.
That was bonus.
Nice. Before I ask you about breaking in, I'm just curious, now that you're with NWA Powerr and everything, did you have any experience, whether it was watching studio wrestling before, or any kind of studio wrestling?
Well, I'm a self-assessed wrestling nerd. Like, I'm just a super nerd, so, like, I grew up in California, and we weren't really in NWA territory, but I would see the pictures in the aftermath. And, I was so just enamored with every facet of wrestling. So once I kind of found out the tape trading world and this whole world outside of Weekly, I was all in. So I can't tell you how many hours I've wasted watching, Manny Fernandez and Rick Rude cut promos on the set. And I watched it all, so the first time I walked in at the first set of tapings at the Georgia Public Broadcasting Building, I immediately felt like Bill and Ted when they showed up to get Abraham Lincoln. I felt like I was there, I was like, it was surreal.
That's awesome, man. Great reference with Manny and Rick Rude, by the way, because I remember them in Rock and Roll Express myself.
100%.
We actually,
but yeah, so I watched it all. I've studied it all and written about it, talked about it, dreamt about it. So it's a really more so in the last since I think the first takers were November, December. I've had many a moment where I've just stepped back, kind of pinched myself, like, oh my God, this is a real life thing. This really happened.
Yeah, it's wild. It's funny. Talking about the studio and everything too, just a quick side note, I think you'd get a kick out of just being a lifelong fan, but we had Ricky Morton on here maybe a couple months ago, and I told him, I grew up watching him, and I can't believe I saw him wrestle twice live, and it was in 2019.
Yeah. No, so you'll appreciate this, just the Ricky Morton love. I couldn't have enough Ricky Morton love, but if you guys were watching where he worked Nick Aldis a couple weeks ago,
yep.
And then post-match, some of the guys spilled out of the locker room to honor Ricky. I wasn't supposed to be a part of that.
Oh, no kidding.
Wow.
No. They were kind of back and forth. Originally, it was going to be as many people as possible. And then they were kind of like, oh, we're just going to send a couple of the top, the top 5 baby faces. So, Storm and Drake and Murdoch. And I was like, okay. And so I just happened to be in Gorilla when they started going out. I was like, you know what? It's a lot easier to ask for forgiveness than permission. I'm going.
Damn right.
And I made sure Eddie Kingston was right in front of me, just in case somebody said something. I was like, look at this crazy guy. Eddie Kingston will punch us.
I got the feeling that Eddie's not too far off from that character.
No, that's Eddie. That's just Eddie. So yeah, so I said it's take a break. There's not one single person said anything negative about it. So I felt justified in doing it. I would take any time to go on a Ricky Morton. He's just the best.
That's all. Hey, how did you break into the business? Who trained you, and how did that come about?
Well, so it's kind of a twofold deal, man. I'm the prototypical don't be this guy. I never had a true training. So I started going to indie shows in California in '96. There was a place out at San Bernardino Boys and Girls Club. It was 3 blocks from my house called the Inland Empire Wrestling. I had only known TV wrestling and wrestling I read in the magazine. So this is where I kind of found this whole world of guys trying to make it. And one of the guys there was Louis Spicoli. Who was in between shots as Rad Radford and DCW brought.
Yeah.
And so I kind of showed up way early. Bell time was 7. I was there at 11. Just way I was so enamored with the business. I'm 13 years old at the time.
Oh wow!
And I was like, I would do anything. I would be more than happy to help you guys do anything, whatever. So I'd set up chairs, help set up the ring, take tickets, got popcorn, whatever was asked me, I did it. And once the ring was up, I was kind of allowed to get in the ring and roll around, and became buddies with a couple of the guys. And it got to the point where they wanted to try stuff out. And they were like, well, just bump the kid.
Wow.
He's 13. He doesn't have feelings to this body yet, Instead of beating each other up. So that's how I learned how to bump, was so I could take moves from God. Fast forward to 98 and moved out to Georgia because at the time I was 15 and I was kind of on my own. I was in between places. And my grandma got sick and my aunt was moving out here. And I was like, well, WCW power plant's in Georgia. I'm going to go to Georgia. So that was my grand scheme. I'm going to be a cruiserweight. I'm going to be the cruiserweight champion, and me and Juventud are going to be taking the town. And so I came out to Georgia, and maybe within a month, there was an indie show running at a baseball field around it by my house. So I went and checked it out, and that is where I saw Jason Cross. And I don't know if you guys remember Jason Cross from TNA, but, I mean, like I said, this is 98, 99, and this guy's doing shooting star leg drops and front flip on prettiers in front of 40 people in a baseball field, and I'm losing my mind.
Yeah, I want to say he was on the early pay-per-views, right, where they were doing the $10 a week pay-per-views?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
I buddied up with him because, like I said, I just saw a man do a shooting star leg drop. Yeah, you're going to be my best friend forever. So I kind of buddied up with him, and he was like, well, you know, he was looking for a guy that could take his moves and on show. I said, hey, baby, I'll be more than happy. Yes, please. So that's kind of how I broke in. Him, and he had a buddy named John Phoenix, and those are the two guys that kind of they had a little training facility, and most of the time, like, it was just me, the two of them, and a couple other guys, and we would go out there and just bump around, and he got me booked on shows because I knew how to take his moves, and that's how I got my foot in the door at Wildside, and then from there, you know, it was a lot of learning on the job versus, like, they always used to make fun of me because, like, I got my psychology from television wrestling, and not that that's a bad thing, but, like, that's where I watched wrestling. It was within a month that I had kind of surpassed Jason Cross on the, why don't you do this here instead of here?
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
Like, they were like, oh, yeah, you're a savant. And I was like, I wouldn't go that far. You know,
I've watched a lot of this, right?
I've spent a lot of time watching this. But yeah, and then, you know, and from Wildside, you know, I sat under every learning tree I could. So, I mean, like, it was such a weird time in the business, too, because I started at Wildside right as they still had the WCW developmental deal. I started this. So, like, my first night there was February of 01. So the first PV I was there, it was Jindrak and Palumbo. No, Jindrak and Stasiak versus Palumbo and O'Hare doing they were doing their matches they were doing on the pay-per-view for Super Bowl the next night. This was their, like, let's go through it, see if we got it, match. So, and they flew out of Atlanta to be at the pay-per-view the next day. And, like, that was my first night at Wildside. So there was so much talent there. You know, this is AJ Styles was still there at the time, and Abyss was there at the time. And, you know, plus the WCW talent, like Terry Taylor was there, agenting, and all the WCW Power Plant guys. You know, I got to pick and choose from a bazillion different lines. And I'm real fortunate for that. To this day, I still, you know, like, it taught me that you can never stop learning. So, like, even at the NWA tapings today, I still, like, I try to drink stuff in. Like, when I get stumped, I'll go, you know, like, there's Ricky Morton. He's done everything. There's Robert Gibson. I'm pretty sure he can figure his way out of this tag spot. Let's go talk to them, you know, or whatever. That's how the world got stuck with me.
That's awesome, man. Now, we talked about this before we called a little bit, but you were recommended by Logan Creed of MLW. What's your guys' relationship?
Logan, I had taken a couple of years off. Right around 2010, my second son was born. My first son, I wasn't around for like his first 2 years. So when the second kid was born, I was like, all right, I kind of need to be a better dad. So I stopped taking and seeing bookings, and everything was more close to home. And I was feeling burnout anyway, because I'd been going pretty hard for 10 years. So I kind of got out of the business for a little bit, and then I got a job with TNA doing merchandise. It kind of checked all the boxes for me, where I wasn't on air, but I was on the road every weekend, and I was making money full-time through wrestling. But I also wasn't as grueling as, you know, 10 days tours of Japan or whatever. You know, I was usually home 3 or 4 days a week. And that was my whole wrestling. Like, and before shows, I would get in the ring and roll around a little bit, but no matches. Well, when they let AJ go, I kind of saw the writing on the wall. I kind of had a little foresight, said, things are not going to, like, I don't see us traveling much more. I'm going to leave. So I put in my notice, and I was kind of done with wrestling at that point. You know, it wasn't even a bitter thing. It was, I'm 5'7", 180 pounds. I've done everything I can do. Like, wrestled in every major ring I could think of. I've traveled the globe. Like, I'm happy. I don't want to be that bitter guy. I was home for maybe 2 months, and I had a buddy who runs a show maybe 30 minutes from me, and he calls me up and says, hey, come do this show. I was like, man, I'm good, man. I'm happy. Come on, come do this one shot for me. No, I'm good. No, I got a guy I want you to work with. You know, what's it going to take? I said, okay, here's my out. I'll give him a stupid number. He can say no to it. We can both walk away with our heads held high. So I shot him the stupid number. He goes, oh, yeah, that's great. See you on the 20th.
Wow.
I'm like, oh, no. For my then wife, I told her, like, hey, here's the deal. Like, I got suckered into one spot, but here's the money, and it's 30 minutes down the road. And she goes, oh, well, you need new gear. And I go, oh, wait, that's not how this goes. She's like, come on, you can brother a couple of people you know, get some free gear. I was like, all right, let me make some calls. So I made a couple calls and called Rick Michaels, who I've known forever, and I go, hey, man, I need you just to brother me a set of gear. something easy, you know, a basic design. You know, I kind of walked him through what I was thinking. You know, nothing gaudy. I was like, it's a one-off. I just, you know, it's going to be the first time the kid sees me, blah, blah, blah. He goes, oh, yeah, I'll take care of you. And I go, well, how much you want? And he goes, oh, don't worry about the price. I was like, awesome. And he goes, yeah, just come do a shot for me on the 21st. I'm like, oh, yeah. And that first show I did for my buddy, long story short, the first show I did for my buddy, Logan was on the show. Oh. And he was one of the few guys that recognized, you know, what little name value I had. He kind of buddied with me, and we've been buddies ever since.
That's awesome, man. I was joking with him that he reminds me of Luke Gallows when we had him on too.
Absolutely, no. They are of the same ilk.
Now, one thing I wanted to pull aside a little bit here. We did this with Logan. It's kind of a new thing we're doing, and we might do this in the later show too. But we're trying to branch out, start something new. So we're just kind of challenging people out of their comfort zone a little bit here. We want to see like what else guys are interested in. So besides wrestling, do you have any other hobbies you like, favorite movies, or other things that really spark your interest?
The easy answer is no, but it's not true. But I mean, I'm such a like I said, I'm a wrestling nerd. So,
yeah, I was thinking that when you said that earlier.
yeah, and it's worn off on my son too. But so I collected wrestling figures as a kid, and it's worn off on him. So we go on a lot of the figure hunts together, which is fun. But like my favorite movies, easy. I've played Desert Island a million times. If you give me Anchorman and Ninja Turtle soup, I'll be good. very, very simple, man. I'm talking Secret of the Ooze, not Out of the Shadows.
I thought you were going to say Wrestling Road Diaries. That's why I was going to...
No, actually, never seen it.
Oh, yeah?
Seen the movie. Yeah, I lived it, but I mean, I've never sat down and watched the edited version. I think I have a copy of it somewhere in my house. I'm not sure where. Cabana gave me a copy, and this was right around the time I started with TNA, and I kind of had the idea of, well, let me get like 100 of these things and try to sell them. But I knew TNA wasn't going to clear it. I was like, I'm good. So I got the one copy, and I just never got around to watching it. I've heard good things.
That's funny.
Now, I actually did watch it, Sal, and I had a question for you because when I was researching you, I noticed that the Wrestling Road Diaries, it was taped roughly 11 years into your career. And we're roughly 11 years from when it was taped. So what kind of lessons did you learn in the first 11 years versus the second 11 years?
That's a great question. I think I was fortunate enough to learn, and some of it the hard way, but in my first 11 years that, it's okay to accept change.
It's the hardest thing in life to accept sometimes.
Right.
Absolutely, but just if you look at what wrestling was in 2009 versus what wrestling is today, I mean, it's night and day, but that doesn't mean it's bad. It just means it's different.
Absolutely.
A lot of the young guys, and it's crazy to me to even have to use that phrase still, but a lot of the young guys that I talk to that are just breaking in, kind of expect me to be, these kids with their flips and their high spots and their, I love them.
Yeah.
I love a good story too. Don't get me wrong, but I like it all. I'm a fan of pro wrestling. As a kid, I like my dude was the King of the African Dream. Spoiler alert, I knew he was an African.
right.
The secret leaked. I don't know how it got back to me. But like that didn't make it any less fun for me.
Right.
You know, like I'm a big believer if you know what you're getting into, everything's allowed. So there's not one set of rules in pro wrestling. And I definitely think I was fortunate enough to learn that in my first 11 years, and then actually watch the evolution of the business in the second half of it, where I say, oh, no, I was right.
You know what's funny? I was just talking to someone today, just like I own a bread business. I deliver bread, and I was talking to a younger person today at one of the stores, and I was just talking about like the difference, like in life, like things are just going to keep changing. Like now we have more social media that we didn't have, and there's good and bad that comes with that. It doesn't mean everything's all bad. Like sure, there's a lot of negativity, but you're also easy to promote and find people, and there's just depends how you use things. I think a lot of times.
Oh yeah. No, and it's funny because like I'm a pretty positive dude just in general. So you can find negativity in anything, but like what's the point? What do you accomplish?
Yeah, wasted energy.
Yeah, like I don't have time for that. Like let's find the fun in it, you know? So like social media. Well, here's a great example. I was talking to my 9-year-old today, or not today, last night, and he was on my phone talking to one of his buddies. And I could hear him, and I go, all right, man, it's time for you to go. You need to hang up. And he goes, hang up what? And I was like, oh, my God. You literally don't have to hang up the phone anymore.
Right.
You hit the end button. And so I was like, well, you know, when I was a kid, you literally had to put the phone up on something.
Right.
Like we hung up the phone. Like this is fucking non-existent phrase anymore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's crazy to think that younger people wouldn't even get the reference to what it means. They hear it.
Yeah.
I had a question now that you mentioned that you're a parent. Like, being a parent who's a wrestler, are your kids into wrestling?
My eldest hates it. And I think, like, he's 14, but I think he's got a deep-rooted, I wouldn't say hate, he doesn't care. And I think a lot of his not liking wrestling has to do with, well, that's what Daddy went to go do when I was younger. So I didn't have daddy time. But my youngest son, it's scary how much he is me. Like, I see so much of me in him where, like I said, like, we collect the toys together, but I mean, he's on the ball, man. Like, he smartens me up to things I don't know. Like he's the one, like, I got home one day, whenever it was, I walked in the house one day, and I was like, hey, what's up, man? He was like, rough day. I go, why is that? He goes, they released Luke Harper. I'm like, what? No! What? They're like, what's happening? They got the wrong one.
Are there any things in wrestling that they're into that you just look at and you go, that's not for me?
Well, I have taken one thing I really love, and it's such a great bonding thing, at least on my end, is because I've got, 20 years under my belt, I can't tell you a time I wasn't watching wrestling. So I'm kind of hardened, and I can get over things real quick. I love to watch wrestling with Jacob, because I love to watch it through his eyes. Like, I know what I like and I know what I don't like. I don't like to give my opinions to him. I like him to give me his opinions to see what he gets into and what he doesn't get into. For example, like Humberto Carrillo. He is a beautiful man. Does nothing for me. He's just not my guy. I couldn't care less. I just, it's not a knock on his work. It's not a knock on anything other than I don't care. So I have that feeling. But like when he comes out, I don't like openly grow because I want to see what his reaction is. Because then I can test to see if the guy is getting over or not. A couple weeks ago, I guess when he returned, and Jacob was just like, "Oh yeah, I forgot about this guy." And I was like, "All right, you get it." I agree. We're friends.
You know what's funny? I was listening to Chael Sonnen, you might know, who does MMA, and he's been in pro wrestling.
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah, he was saying that, like, him and Randy Couture would go wrestle with the high school kids sometimes because they would see what they were working on and what was new coming up. And it kind of reminds me of this, like with your son, like you're watching, you can see, okay, what does he like now and what's kind of new? And I think it's a way to keep us young sometimes to have like younger people around us, you know?
You get to see it with
Yeah.
No, it's like this thing is it's always funny taking him to live events too, because like just his reactions to things. So like we went to one a few years ago and it was King and Braun Strowman. And like I love my kid more for anything other than like he stands by his beliefs. So like Braun Strowman was full boogie babyface at this point. Like there was no question. Like Braun Strowman was as babyface to get. He's flipping over fire trucks and, you know, juggling Miatas. But my son will remember. You know, he was like, no, man, I ain't about this dude. No, man, he's not a good guy. I remember. so like, he's the only guy in the crowd booing Braun Strowman. But it's not because he didn't appreciate his work or, no, he's like, no, dude, you remember the Wyatt family, and I'll never let that go. Or just like with Cesaro. So, like, I've known Claudio. Like, when Claudio first got into Ring of Honor, it was right around the same time I did. And so he didn't know a lot of people. But if you've ever talked to Claudio at length, like, he loves Gasto. Just loves them. And that's something I have in common with him. I'm the punnier and the cornier the joke is, the better it is. I just love him. Like the one thing I used to always, you know, like the one joke I always had for him was, "What's orange and sounds like a parrot?" A carrot. But when Jacob, So when Jacob got into it, Cesaro was heel. And, I mean, I'm talking, so he's a heel, he's We the People with Jack Swagger. He wouldn't let it go. He would not let it go. Until, it was like a year after he had finally turned babyface. He did 8-Man with the New Day on Raw. And I helped break in Xavier Wood. He's, personal friend, kids call him Uncle Austin, like, he's, and once Cesaro teamed with Xavier Wood, he looks over at me and he goes, you know what? He might be okay.
That's awesome.
It's always interesting to see what changes a kid's mind or what they see in wrestling, because they're seeing it for the first time. We've been hardened to it over the years.
Oh, absolutely. And, like, I can't say, like, I'm so there's some guys that, like, I'm just infatuated with that I can't help that, like, so, like, before Buddy Murphy, because, like, he watches 205 Live with me. So, I mean, like, this is literally, like, 2 of the 4 viewers that show had. And so, like, like, when Buddy Murphy was doing his thing on 205 Live, I was like, this is my dude. I love Buddy Murphy. So, like, Buddy Murphy is super duper over in the Rinauro household. Way before he was a baby face, way before he was on Raw, way before he even had a character. I was like, man, this dude's the good. Like, that was the big Christmas present he got this year. He got the 2 Buddy Murphy figures. And he was like, man, Santa for real loves me. Oh, yeah.
Nice.
So, yeah, like, I'm not... I try to only put the positivity out there for us. Like, if there's someone I don't watch, I don't try to influence him negatively. Like, when Pete Dunne comes out, I can't help but go, yeah, that Pete Dunne fella, he's a heck of a pro wrestler. I like him a lot.
Well, hey, we had you on for a little over half hour now. I'll just ask you a couple more questions here. What are some of your goals still, now that you're still in the business? Anything else you want to promote after that?
It's crazy because, like, I've met goals. I heard this real inspirational story, and I can't remember the guy's name, but there was a guy that was in a bomber, in a airplane. He was a fighter. He was over in Iraq. Plane got shot down. Everybody in it died but him. But he was destroyed. I mean, both his legs were mangled. And he was saying that, so he was just left to no devices on this beach. And so what he would do is he had a stick, and he would take a stick and draw a line in the sand and say, all right, if I can just crawl to that spot, I can take a rest. And he would do it over and over and over and over until he crawled to some town miles away. that's kind of the way I look at my goals in pro wrestling now. Where like I'm not going to get signed for it. It's just not going to happen, especially since I broke my arm. But like, if I can just make enough headway to be mentioned, like that's enough for me. Like I'm very happy with. Like I said before, like I kind of stepped away in 2013 because I was good. Like I'm fortunate enough to have the perspective to realize that like even if I don't get that WrestleMania pre-show battle royal spot, I've had a good run. You know, like I'm very happy with what I've been able to accomplish. But as far as goals, like especially now, like with NWA taking off the way it has, especially for me, like that TV title I think would look just wonderful at my house. I got a little spot for it that would just look super duper cool.
There you go. Nice. I like that.
Yeah, I definitely love to get in the TV title mix. I finally, at the last set of taping, I got to do an on-set promo. And that was like I said, when I walked into the building and saw the stage and the desk and everything, that was immediately like, I got to do a promo on set. Like, that was my thing. And I finally got to do it at the last set of taping. And that was super cool. I'd like to at least get one more of those. I did it with May, and we had a great time. But I'd love to get involved in an angle where I get to do a by myself on-set promo. That'd be super cool. There's a ton of guys there that I'd still love to mix it up with. I've known Caleb Conley since his second match, and I don't think that he and I have ever done a singles. So I would love to get a singles match with Caleb Conley. They just brought Matt Cross in, who I've done stuff with in the past, but, I'd love to get in there with him. Ricky Stark, Zicky Dice. I mean, there's a lot of guys, and then obviously, Nick Aldis. Just with the prestige of what the NWA title is and all the hard work that they've done in making that title have some kind of significance again, I'd love to get at least one shot at the NWA World title. Just, that's one of those things that, like, 20 years from now, I can tell my kids I did it. Whether I win or lose or whatever. Like, oh, yeah, I had a shot at the NWA World title. I think that'd be a cool thing. Like I said, I know those aren't all going to happen tomorrow, but we'll see. I've been fortunate, man. That Power crowd, for whatever reason, loves them some Sal Rinauro.
There you go, man.
Yes, they do. Now, one last question before we have you promote anything. What's been your key to longevity in the business?
I told this advice. I've told it to 100 people, but my whole thing has always been, you need to love pro wrestling because it doesn't love you. Like, pro wrestling doesn't owe any one person anything. It's going to survive. Pro wrestling will always survive. It's such a good form of entertainment that there will always be some form of pro wrestling. It's not self-reliant on one. It's not reliant on one person. It's a very self-reliant entity. My whole thing is like, just love it. Find the fun in it, man. Like, if you can't find fun in pro wrestling, I just don't understand what you're doing. Like. That was my thing when I took a step back. It wasn't fun for me because I was beating myself over the head trying to figure out what I was going to do and how I was going to do it. And now I'm so fortunate that, like, I'm having more fun at 37 than I did at 17. And it's because I love pro wrestling. I love it. I love all of it. I love the art of it. I love the behind the scenes. I love the front of the scenes. I just love every aspect of pro wrestling. And I mean, that's really the key is, just love it. Have fun with it. Make it your own. Make it, like, I truly believe, like, this is the greatest form of art in the world. And, like, I'm fortunate enough, like, as a kid, I used to draw constant. I would draw the caricatures of wrestlers and Ninja Turtles, basically. And, like, a couple of my friends liked it, but I knew I was never going to be an artist. But, like, this is truly a way of being able to express art, and it's such a cool thing, man. And I'm also big on, like, if you get it, you get it. If you don't, that's okay. Like, I've got tons of friends that don't like pro wrestling, and that's okay. You don't have to like it, but I mean, I know I love it, and like I said, I've watched it evolve from, 1982 to today. And I love it more today than I did as a kid. It's
Preaching to the choir, man. Everything you just said, like, I talk to people that are negative about things all the time, and I just say, well, don't watch that. And, you don't have to, love every wrestling show, but if you love wrestling, you're going to find some wrestling show you love, or you're going to find something on it you love if you really love wrestling.
Absolutely. Yeah, the thing is, I got that, I broke my arm in January, so I'm out of commission right now. So, I'm trying to relearn how to just be at home, which is harder than any match I've ever had. So I got the pay-per-view. I got the pay-per-view Saturday, and I invited a couple friends over. And one guy was like, "Why would you watch that? You don't even work there." I was like, "Who cares?" I have friends that do work there. I love pro wrestling, and I promise you, it's going to be good. There's going to be something you're going to enjoy.
Yeah.
If the Young Bucks and Kenny and Adam Page aren't your cup of tea, maybe Cody and MJF, maybe maybe Orange Cassidy's your thing. I know he's my thing.
Yeah, that was something completely different for me, and I loved it. I don't know about you, but the rolling over spot where he just looks like he's legit cracking up at one point, I lost it. I thought this is great.
So good. And this thing is, and it's, because, I'm a huge Neville guy, or Pac. I love Pac. So, on paper, that's such a weird matchup.
Right.
But the old fight adage that matchups make, or styles make matchups. This was, I loved it. That was genuinely, this is no disrespect to anybody else on the card, because it was a solid show, top to bottom. It was really good. But Pac and Orange Cassidy was the one I was like, yeah, I'm glad I watched this one.
Just saying.
It was super enjoyable.
I was excited for that match because I'm looking forward to Orange Cassidy versus Suzuki at Spring Break. And this was almost a preview of that joking style versus this dude that could break him in pieces.
It was so much fun. So much fun.
So, Sal, is there anything you want to promote before we let you go?
It's Tuesday, 6:05, YouTube, NWA Powerr. And again, just talking about styles, man. They have done such a good job. I can't say enough good things about finding the NWA's found their niche. They're not trying to be McDonald's in a fast food world. They're more like an in and out, where it's not necessarily for everybody. It's not everywhere, but if you like it, you like it. So come watch it. Definitely check out NWA Powerr, 6:05 Eastern on YouTube. You can follow me at Sal Rinauro on Twitter. I'm very new to it. I still haven't really figured out all the mechanics of the Twitter world. That was my holdout. My buddies finally beat me to death and told me I had to get on Twitter. So I've done it. I don't know if I've done it successfully, but I'm there. I'm on Instagram at Sal Rinauro. No, I think it's Sal_Rinauro. And
yes.
You can check out my Facebook at Sal Rinauro, RINAURO. I would do that exact stream. I mean, how many vowels do I got?
Right. Well, all right, Sal, this was a pleasure. Thank you so much. You're a great talker, a great interview. We love your passion, and maybe we'll have you on again, man. Thank you so much for everything.
All right, sounds great. Yes, bro. Thank you, guys. This is the new NWA World Must-See Television Champion, Outlandish Zicky Dice, and you're listening to the Working Fans Podcast.
All right, everybody, it's the Working Fans Podcast. Dave's here, and we got current NWA Television Champion, the Outlandish one, Zicky Dice. Zicky, how are you, my man?
I'm terrible. I'm not even going to respond to that intro because my new name, this is what I'm going by from here on out. So I'm going to say it here loud and clear so everyone hears it right the first time so there's never any mistake. It is the new NWA World, quotation mark, must-see TV champion, Outlandish Zicky Dice. And I'm doing well. I'm doing much better now. You see, I already feel better. You know what? It is day 7. I am on day 7 of my television reign. And I haven't done anything. I've been sipping on some drinks, hanging out with some flamingos. I got umbrellas in the cup. I got the championship helping me with my tan. Life is great.
Goddamn, man, you're making me feel better. I love it. I love it.
But it's great to be be here. Thanks for having me.
Oh, man, thank you. That was awesome. First thing I'm going to ask you about, because I did some research on you, and I was curious. You got yourself a band, too. How did that come about? Tell us about the band.
Oh, man. Well, what came first, the chicken or the egg, right? I've been singing in the band, since I had two dreams when I was sitting in school, not paying attention, daydreaming about everything else. And that was music and wrestling. I wrestled from ages, I think, 5 until my sophomore year in high school. My pops had passed away then, and that was kind of our thing, wrestling, that is. So I kind of just got numb to life and over everything else. And from there, I found punk rock and hardcore and music, and started some local bands and in high school and played all the way through. And then after getting out of high school, I kind of stole members from different bands and made the almighty Heart to Heart. And we've been playing, I think, since, you could say about 2007-ish, but 2009, I think, is what we say is when our first release was. Yeah, ever since about 5 years ago, my band was on a Warped Tour. We played with bands like The Story So Far, 4 Year Strong, Comeback Kids, Census Fail. We did the damn thing. And it's funny because music is what led me to wrestling. I was acting kind of heelish on stage at a show in Nashville, and the tour manager, John James Ryan, at the time was like, "Hey, I got to talk to you at the end of the night." And I was like, "Oh, man, I thought we were in trouble getting kicked off the tour." He's like, "Listen, I think you need to become a professional wrestler." He's like, I think you would be so successful in this business, I think you should go and do it. So I did. I moved to, went home, finished that tour. I moved to Moline, Illinois, where I then started training in the 3rd class of the Black and Brave Wrestling Academy under Crotch, Merrick Brave, and Seth Rollins. And that decision, that whole story happened 5 years ago. So we took a little hiatus, if you will, and I put my time and energy into becoming Zicky Dice. And since I've been rocking and rolling, I was like, hey, you know what? I want to do another record. So we just released a record this past Valentine's Day. Heart to Heart's Heartbreaker is out now everywhere you stream and listen to music on In Vogue Records. So I'm just living the lavish life.
Yeah, you really are, man. This is great stuff. And what about this? It's kind of crazy, right? So you're a pro wrestler. You're working for the NWA. You're the World Television Champion, and the guy who owns that right now is the lead singer of the Smashing Pumpkins.
Yeah, it's insane. I was my birthday this past September. We went and saw, my boss gave me Smashing Pumpkins tickets. And we went and saw the Smashing Pumpkins, and you would have told me that night that just in 2 months' time I'd been working for him. I probably would have told you to fly a kite.
Being a champion for him.
I don't even know if Billy knows I'm in a band, to be honest with you.
Oh,
he might.
Wow.
That's funny. Well, you're like the 7th. We've been interviewing a lot of NWA guys, so if we have our way, we're gonna get that fucking out there. we wanna pump this up, man. You got a lot of stuff going on. It's super cool.
Nice, yeah. I mean, there's some good stuff coming up with the NWA. You know, we got some more Circle Squared coming up here with some more drops and match announcements for the Crockett Cup coming up April 19th in Atlanta. Who knows? Who knows?
Yeah,
I'm trying to find right now.
Maybe you got a partner.
Yeah, maybe I do need a partner. And I was thinking about that. I was thinking about cloning myself just to ensure that I win the tournament. I think if I clone myself, I mean, come on now.
I think it's a goddamn shoe-in, man. You got this.
I think you're right.
Another interesting little tidbit. You ended up with a little thing I caught on your Twitter on Adult Swim one time.
Yes, I was on a dating show on Adult Swim. The show was called, Digikiss. That poor gal that I was on that date with.
Yeah, it looked interesting.
Yeah, she had no idea. It was great. I had my fiance walk into the room and all pissed off on the episode. She's like, "Who the hell are you talking to?" I was like, "Oh, my cousin." And the girl on the date phone, she's like, "What is going on?"
That's hilarious.
It was a super fun episode. I set the whole thing up, dude. I had trapped throughout that whole episode. It was a lot of fun.
Actually,
I was supposed to be. Here's a funny story for you. I posted this on Twitter too. I was supposed to be on the Maury Povich show this past Friday. Did you know that?
No. Tell us about that.
They wanted to fly me out. They called me while I'm here chilling, and they said, "What are you doing Friday?" First, they had called me the week of Hard Times. And they wanted me in Connecticut to go film Maury that week, and I told them I was busy and I couldn't cancel what I had going on. And then this past last week, I had gotten a call from them again. They were trying to fly me out on Friday. So I have these kids I guess they wrestle in some stupid tag team called 4 Minutes of Heat, and they think that they're claiming that I am their dad, and they've followed me around to shows, and they've harassed me, and they have these like poor excuse for a mullet, and just try to act and be like me, and I'm like, you know what, you guys are not my kids. I keep talking about some woman Nancy in Nashville that I crossed paths with.
This is the greatest story.
Oh no, this is all real. This is real. You think I'm sitting here drinking my coffee, relaxing? This is 100% real. This
You can't
is my
make
life.
that up.
And no. And I called, and she's like, so what makes you think they're your kids? The producer on the phone, I was like, I don't know. They kind of follow me, and I've seen them in Washington, Oregon, and California. And so she called them. I don't know what happened. I think they had a show, so that's why it didn't work. So I'm still waiting to get to the bottom of this. And Maury, if you're listening, we need you to help us figure this shit out.
Damn right. This is already a bunch of firsts in our show.
Do you have a "You're Not the Father" dance prepared?
Well, you know, they came to a show and they brought me a DNA test, and I grabbed and I hit the one, the more dumber one in the head with it, and I just started fighting the both of them. That's also a true story.
Oh my god, that's great. Yeah, like,
9 inches.
after that, but do you or your fiance have a dog named Ric Flair? Did I read that right?
I do have a dog named Ric
That's
Flair.
fucking awesome.
Ric Flair, the nature pup. I got Ric Flair. Ric Flair is almost 5.5.
Nice.
I got him right before moving to Black and Brave at 8 weeks old, so he's been my tag team partner ever since. It's been me and Flair on this whole wrestling journey. It's funny, like, when I won the title, I was talking to him about it, like, straight up. It was just me and him. I was like, who would have thought, dude? Who would have thought, you know? It was me and him, moved across country together, and we did the damn thing. And honestly, if it wasn't for my dog, Ric Flair, I don't know where in the hell I'd be, because he's gotten me through some hard times.
Dude, I thought, like, and this is the truth, like, when the TV title tournament came out, I thought, like, you'd be a perfect TV champion, because most great TV champions are good heels. Anderson, Blanchard. How's it feel to be in that company?
It's unreal. I think now that it's been 7 days, it's been a little easier to process, because, you know, we film a whole season in a weekend. So I've had to keep this under wraps for about 6 weeks now. So you think that I'd have plenty of time to wrap my brain around it, but it's you know, and then you see the episode air and all that goes down, and my phone, like, literally exploded. And that's my red old Ringer phone. I don't have a cell phone right now. I'm actually talking to you out of my fax machine. But it exploded. Yeah, I've got carrier signals. I got a few pigeon messages. Smoke signals. Definitely smoke signals around. Yeah, it's been a crazy time, and I look forward to being. And you know, here's the thing. Yeah, man, I haven't even had to cheat yet. Who knows what I'll do? Maybe I will. Maybe, here's an idea. Maybe I'll set up 7 victories on the first season, the next season, episode 1, 7 victories in a row. Maybe I'll go around the world and find what I think are the world's best top competitors, and I will just to prove how great of a fighting champion I really am, I will defend the title 7 times in one night. You
know what? I just saw a documentary on George Foreman beat 5 heavyweights in one night as an exhibition. You could do 7. Fucking top it. Sorry, George.
Dude, easy.
Now, how wild is it that...
And then maybe I'll have 10 pounds of pink if I want to. Maybe as soon as I win that belt, I'll just dip it in pink paint and glitter and swing it around the world. How about that?
Now, how wild is it that your first championship is the NWA TV title?
Would you believe me if I told you I had a 5-foot picture of me hanging on the wall with me licking it right behind me as we speak right now?
I won't believe that after everything else.
I would definitely
it's awesome,
believe that.
and it's made me even more outlandish than ever. Now you know what I can do? You know what this power does? I can walk into anyone's house, grab the remote, and change the channel to whatever I want. That's one of the perks of being television champion. I control the TVs.
You're running the show. You know what? Funny you're talking about. Okay, so the Outlandish, you got the crazy hair and everything and the tights. I was telling Joe one time, we were watching you, and Joe said I was looking too close, but whatever, fuck Joe. I said, I think that's poop on his, like, tights, like a smiling poop thing. And
so,
go ahead. I love it.
So, it's my beard, but my tongue comes down all the way down Main Street. So, like, Yeah, it's my whole face. with the nose perfectly placed, the tongue perfectly placed. I mean, there's an art. They don't call me outlandish for nothing.
I guess I need to look closer.
You need to look closer at his ass.
You know, I mean, things I'm learning.
Like for me to do the split or sing the Village People on my back. A little white.
This is great. Now, one other tidbit about you I learned is you actually had quite an amateur background too, right? Freestyle, Greco-Roman, and Sambo?
Yeah, I wrestled in freestyle, Greco-Roman, folk style. I'm a 2-time national wrestling champion in both freestyle, Greco-Roman, and I did a little Sambo there as well. Yeah, man, I was not to toot my own horn, but sophomore year, I think I only lost one or two matches my sophomore year before giving it up. So I always think of where I could have been or where I could have gone, but then again, here's the thing with wrestling. It's kind of a bummer to see. Like, you go through high school, maybe you go to college and wrestle, and, after that, what do? You either go into MMA or trying in the Olympic trials. I always thought it would be so badass to see actual wrestling duels, like a pro wrestling, if you will, right? So, like, let's say you got Oklahoma City versus, Dallas, Texas, and you got the old, high school duels, right? Like, you got the weights going all the way up. And I always thought that would be sick. I would watch that.
Yeah.
Anytime, I love Flow Wrestling. I love watching them on Instagram. Sometimes at the gym, they got some wrestling on. If there's wrestling on, it's got my attention. I miss the smell of the bleach and the mat. And I was the most disciplined. Me and my brother wrestled for this team called Guadalupe Wrestling. Now, it was a predominantly Mexican-American team. Me and my brother at the time were the only Italian. Well, we're Italian and Puerto Rican, but we stood out. Let me put it that way. And we would travel with this team. Now, this team was the most disciplined I've ever been in my life. It's funny. This is something I haven't talked about before. Oh. We were not allowed to talk to any other team. We had very strict punishment. There was times where we couldn't leave training until there was a bucket full of throw up. Our coach would have us running with crash bags to lose weight. It was hell, man. And God forbid we talked to someone else. Even our own parents, we weren't allowed to talk to our parents at tournaments. While all the other teams were sitting on the benches waiting for their matches, we were under the bleachers, either jump roping or jumping up and down, like the warm-up position, the whole entire time. If anyone talks to you, the whole team is punished. Wow. If you talk back, we were literally like wrestling soldiers. It was insane.
No wonder why you were so good. Holy shit.
Yeah, we put in the time and the work, and we had no choice. The story gets crazier. The coach is crazier. Anyone knows from my hometown knows that story.
Wow. A
lot of shady shit I saw at a young age too. I remember there was one wrestling tournament, the coach, so shitty, man. He had one of the lighter guys weigh in for one of the guys at state championships, basically register as him, to kind of cheat the tournament. And I'm sitting there 11 years old, what the hell's going on here,
Yeah.
So that's just kind of show, that's the wrestling camp I came out of. I've been a heel since day one, baby.
Shit. Now, do you follow MMA at all, too, or?
I used to. Chuck Liddell is from where I lived and grew up. So I would see him walking around. I used to be a huge Chuck fan when Chuck was on top. That's more when I followed. And from after that, I kind of I don't know. I got busy. I don't watch any sports either. I hardly dude, my life is consumed by Zicky at the moment. I'm getting married this year, though.
Nice.
So planning a wedding in between. Fiance says that Zicky is not allowed at the bachelor party or the wedding. So
good move on her part.
Yeah, trying to figure out that now. All right. Even if one of her girlfriends could come on the bachelor party, she's like, what do you think about mixing both of our bachelor parties together? I was like, oh, good grief.
So what do you got coming up?
Let's see. This weekend I am at Championship Wrestling from Arizona. There's a huge show. I wish I could talk about it right now. It's not announced yet, but you will never believe where I'm wrestling. Never. But when you see it, you're going to be like, yep, he would. So keep an eye out for that. I've got that coming up. I can't wait for that to be announced. I return to bar wrestling. I've got some more AAW in Chicago. I got the Crockett Cup coming up, as well as some more NWA tapings. Championship Wrestling from Hollywood. The best way, let me put it this way, I live a crazy, outlandish life, and I can't even keep track. So if you want to attempt to do it with me, I've made it nice and simple for everybody. It's at Zicky Dice, ZICKY DICE on every piece of social media available. Follow that. I'm always posting shows as they come in and week of, and that's the best I've got.
Ziggy, you killed it. I hope we didn't kill much of your heel heat. I think you're a great guy. And
No, all good.
all good. All right, man. Thank you so much. And say hi to Ric Flair for me, man.
Oh, dude, man. Appreciate you guys. Thank you.
All right, have a good one, bud.
Easy.
I'm going to call it Wrestler's Favorite Shit and find out what your favorite is. All right, favorite pizza.
Favorite pizza. Oh, I'm going to go with the spot. We had this conversation in our car ride the other day. My top favorite pizzas that I think I've ever had in my life is Elizabeth Pizzeria in Elizabeth, New Jersey. And that I would get probably the pepperoni and pineapple. Eat it.
Nice. Yeah, no, New Jersey is fucking awesome for pizza. I stopped in there once. Favorite movie?
The Crow.
Oh, good. I think we might have
Good soundtrack.
Yeah, dude. Oh, yeah.
Well, favorite band? Let's go with that.
Oh, man. God. This I've got down to a top 5.
Okay.
That's either going to be, The Get Up Kids, Poison the Well, The Starting Line, Alpine Trio. Who's the other one I can go there? God. And Deftones.
Nice.
You excited for that Deftones tour coming up?
Oh, dude, I think I'm like, I was trying to look while driving the other day. Oh, yeah, see me, okay? I was trying to line up my calendar with the dates real quick because I'm notorious for double booking myself. If someone's like, hey, what are you doing here this day? I'm like, dude, let's go. And the next thing you know, I'm already booked to wrestle somewhere. I'm like, oh, damn it, so I have to, like, back out on one of them. But I am trying to line up. Last time I saw Deftones, I was just about to move back home from Chicago, and they played, like, I forgot what the venue was, but it's, like, right near the water, and it was, like, them, Thrice, oh, man, I forgot who else played. Oh, and, oh, my God, I'm drawing the biggest blank. Or, Rise Again. And I remember, like, the moon was shining over, like, the Chicago skyline. I was just watching Deftones rock. It was the sickest night of my life. No, that's a lie. Last week was the sickest night of my life. That was just another great night.
Do you have a particular favorite Deftones album?
Oh, dude. Probably White Pony.
I was going to say that myself. Just what they did with their sound and took it to the next level. Like, I could listen to that album front to back every time.
Yeah. I got a White Pony tattoo, actually, on my right leg, and it has a date under it. My buddy, Gabi, may he rest in peace, one of my good friends growing up, he did not know how to play guitar, but he loved the Deftones, so he used to just grab this acoustic guitar we had laying around and pretend to play it. Like, seriously, though. He seriously tried. And he'd be like, like the whole time.
Yeah.
And he actually started taking guitar lessons because of Deftones. So when he passed away, me and my good friend were like, dude, what can we get tattooed for him? I was like, dude, White Pony. So we got the White Pony for him, but also for us. So we were all huge Deftones heads,
That's awesome.
All right.
Oh, if he was alive, he would trip out. And if my dad was alive, he would be tripping out on everything going on right now. Like, my brother's wife posted, I don't know, she was some hole in Facebook the other day and found pictures, like, it said pool party, Newark, New Jersey, 1979. There was photos of my dad. I posted them on my Instagram story the other day, and they look identical to me now. It's like spitting image, So if you think the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, right? So you think I didn't originate being in the Outlandish. I come from an Outlandish one.
I believe it. All right, 2 more. Favorite comedian?
Oh, shoot. Oh, man. Probably Adam Sandler.
Okay, that's good, yeah. And besides you, favorite wrestler?
Favorite wrestler? Man, this is a tough one. Of all time, it's probably Shawn Michaels. Now, to date, that would be Rick Martel, Mr. Perfect, and Ravishing Rick Rude.
That's a great list.
Welcome to the 5-3-1, where we take our top 5 list on a particular subject, debate it down to a top 3 list, further debate it down to a top 1. This week, we got our favorite Intercontinental Champions. AJ sent in a list.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what's that motherfucker got? Coronavirus or some goddamn shit? Where the hell?
I know, he's quarantined himself for like a month and a half, too.
Oh, my God. He calls in, he no-shows. I mean, I know he likes it when I talk shit about him when he's not here, because I talk to him, and he says he appreciates that. So, I don't know what he did. I think he said something about, like, Chris Benoit for life, and then he went into hiding. It's none of our business. AJ, that's how you feel. Love you. Let's talk about his list.
Talking about his list, number 1 is Mr. Perfect.
Yep.
Number 2, you called it, is Chris Benoit. Number 3 is Greg Valentine. Number 4 is Randy Savage. And I'll be goddamned if Jason from Walmart doesn't pop for this. Pedro Morales is number 5.
Pedro Morales. And you know what? I gotta tell you, I had to talk to him about this list because he originally sent me another list, a couple other names on it. he had Goldust on it. And I said, Goldust, that's cool, he's good. And he said, I don't know why, he said it was so weird. He said, yeah, but the real pervy version of Goldust, he would touch himself a lot. That's the one I want on there. And I said, are you sure? The way you worded that's kind of weird. And he said, yeah. And then he changed his mind, and then he tried to tell me about Adrian Adonis. And I said, oh, Adrian Adonis with the leather jacket, the biker. He said, no, with the flowers and the pink tights. I was like, dude, he wasn't IC champ. So he goes, okay, otherwise I definitely want to put him on. He's feeling a little weird this week. I don't know what's going on. But anyway.
Scott from Voluntown had Mr. Perfect, Bret Hart, Randy Savage, Chris Jericho, Razor Ramon.
It's a good list.
I'm going to give you my list because for some reason I positioned myself third. I have Mr. Perfect, Randy Savage. I went a little different with this one. I'm talking IWGP Intercontinental Champion because nobody fucking specified Shinsuke Nakamura. And I'm going to put that one over huge because at a time where Okada and Tanahashi are battling for the main belt, Nakamura made the IWGP Intercontinental Championship something. Fuck, I should have put Naito on this list. I'm a little mad I didn't do it.
While you're at it, maybe you should read Zach's list because Zach told me that if the IWGP Intercontinental title was included, he wanted to make a change.
Ah, shit. Well, we'll get to that. I got to finish off my list.
Okay, so go keep going. We'll get to that.
Number 4 is Ricky Steamboat. Number 5 is Chris Jericho.
Glad you put Ricky in there. One of the all-time great workers. Didn't have the longest Intercontinental title reign, but he's involved in widely considered one of the best matches of all time on the biggest card of all time, Randy Savage, WrestleMania 3, for the Intercontinental title. And he lost to a guy who probably had the Intercontinental title the longest. And some would say he's the greatest, but I haven't heard his name yet mentioned. He's not on my list either. That's the Honky Tonk Man. Just saying. Anyway.
Speaking of Randy from Griswold, Randy Osgood, you know who the fuck he is.
Oh, yeah, former guest.
Had 1 Chris Jericho, 2 Shawn Michaels, 3 Randy Savage, 4 Mr. Perfect, and Jason from Walmart, you better sit the fuck down because he had Pedro Morales as number 5.
Oh, man. You know what I was about Pedro Morales? He always had these, like, orange tights that looked like they had big sweat stains on them for some reason. But I dug that as a kid. Anyway, go ahead.
Jesse from New Hampshire had Chris Jericho, Ricky Steamboat. Finally, the Honky Tonk Man pops up.
Hey.
The Rock and Razor Ramon.
It's a fucking fantastic list. I'd like to have you read it.
All right, so we got to Zach's list.
Go ahead, read his list as it is.
Okay.
I'll tell you what it...
He had Randy Savage.
Yep.
Shawn Michaels. Bret Hart.
Sure.
Randy Savage again? Fuck, this list has got to be fucked.
Joe's fucking tired, folks. It's okay. I got this list from Zach.
Thank God you said it's tired and not a wellness policy violation like you've been in the past.
Joe had, Zach had Randy Savage, Shawn Michaels, Mr. Perfect, Bret Hart, Chris Jericho. I don't know which one to choose.
Okay, Mr.
Zach. My boy fucked up.
Okay, hold on. Mr. Perfect, Bret Hart, Chris Jericho. I had Razor Ramon.
Where's Razor? You put him.
Mr. Perfect, Chris Jericho. Okay. But if the IWGP title is
If the IWGP title's in, you know who's getting out? Bret Hart. Sorry, buddy, we love you, Bret, but Nakamura's in, baby. 2 for Nakamura.
Bret screwed Bret.
Joe tried to screw everybody on that one. Joe screwed Zach.
I screwed the pooch on this one.
Yeah,
but
baby.
Speaking of the St. John's, Jake showed up this week, author of that Lost City Highway.
We're going to put a fucking link up that on
Yeah,
Twitter,
we're going to put a link up because I just fucking said the name of the book. Don't 100% remember it. I fucking own it. You should own it too. But his list is Mr. Perfect, Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart, Randy Savage, Razor Ramon.
You're goddamn right it is. I double checked your work this time, baby.
Sheaf had Razor Ramon, Chris Jericho, Shawn Michaels, Mr. Perfect, Randy Savage.
Nice. What about our guest this week?
Our guest this week, Zicky Dice, is going to tell you in his own words his list. And here it is.
Who would Zicky Dice's top 5 IC champs be?
Oh, man. Razor Ramon, Shawn Michaels. God, dude. Mr. Perfect, of course.
Mr. Perfect, yep.
Oh, man, dude.
Yeah, it's funny.
Warrior. Oh, man.
Yep.
And Rude, right?
Yeah, Rude. Rude was IC champ. Yep, that's perfect. Yeah. You nailed it.
These lists can be hard to come up with because there's so many.
There is, and I mean, that list can change at any day and any time, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
There's no specific order, of course. I just, like, you know, I picture, like, I always loved, too, when the Warrior had, like, that seafoam green strap on the Eagle belt. Remember that?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Dude, beautiful. Beautiful.
All right, Dave, who do you have for a list?
All right, my list. I haven't heard this guy mentioned once, but I think he's one of the great Intercontinental Champions. Tito Santana. All right, he's a 2-time champ.
That's going to pop Jason from all
right. Maybe he won it from Don Morocco after Morocco had beat Pedro Morales. That son of a bitch. And then Tito lost it to Greg Valentine, but he won it back in a steel cage before losing it to Randy Savage at the Boston Garden. Bret Hart from being one of the great tag wrestlers to being one of the great Intercontinental Champions, right before he ended up being one of the great world champions. I think Bret Hart and the IC belt are pretty synonymous. And also, he had that excellent match with Davey Boy Smith at Wembley Stadium. You might remember that. Bret, I'm fucked. I'm fucked, Mr. Hitman. Very good stuff. Davey fucked up on crack the night before, but still put on the performance of a lifetime. And that's something we appreciate at the Working Fans Podcast. Edge is one of my favorite Intercontinental Champions of all time, and one of the best. And Edge is doing some great work. He's probably the highlight on Monday Night Raw these days, along with Randy Orton. Chris Jericho. This guy, I believe, still has the most Intercontinental title reigns of anybody, including one in New Japan Wrestling. Jericho is the current AEW Heavyweight Champion. Well, actually, no, he just lost it, but he was the first ever AEW Heavyweight Champion, and until recently, he was the youngest AEW Heavyweight Champion. Unfortunately, he's not. And you need to fucking hear that. Right? And last on my list, man, I want to get honorable mention to Mr. Perfect. I felt like I should have put him on my list, but I didn't. I went with Randy Macho Man Savage instead. I thought he had a spectacular reign.
Hey, there's so many choices out there that it's just who makes the list at any given time.
You know, and I might, if it gets down to Savage and Perfect, I might pull a heel turn and fuck over Savage. So let's see what we got here.
There's so many names that appeared on multiple lists that we made a top 5 list from this list, and we're going to work our way down. So in this little tournament style bracket, we got first Michaels versus Savage.
Michaels versus Savage.
I got to give it to Savage just based on the Savage Steamboat match.
Yeah.
I think he's more synonymous, I would say, with the IC title than Michaels.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would say that. Sean's more about putting on fantastic matches, Mr. WrestleMania and the world title and DX.
Yeah.
Not fucking bad run. But yeah, I think Savage is the guy who really brought prestige to the Intercontinental belt.
Now we got Jericho versus Bret Hart.
I love me some Bret Hart. Bret Hart's my favorite wrestler of all time. I'm going to say Jericho, though.
Bret felt like more of a world title guy.
World champion, yeah, the Hart Foundation. So I'm going to say Jericho is going to go over in that one.
And for the last one, we got Razor versus Perfect.
Razor. I want to talk about Razor for a second. Jake told me that Razor is one of the hardest working dildos of all time. He did say his girlfriend might have texted that. I don't know the whole story, but he says he knew that list was right because Razor wasn't one of his favorites, but he still put him on that list. That being said, Mr. Perfect, fuck you, Razor. I'm going Mr. Perfect.
Wow. I almost would have given it to Razor for that ladder match, but, Perfect, more legendary. I would say more of an overall favorite.
JBL just shared a story. I forget who Perfect was wrestling, but he was the heel, and somebody was yelling at the babyface, "You suck." And he was going, "Mr. Perfect, woo!" And Perfect saw him to be the ultimate heel, took his gum and threw it at the guy and landed on his face. And the guy said, "Perfect, you suck." And I guess Kurt turned around and looked and goes, "That's perfect."
Nice. So now for our top 3 list, we got Savage, Jericho, and Mr. Perfect.
Ooh, who's going out
Who's the first to go? Yeah.
All right.
I think it's going to be a victim of being up against 2 legends.
They're all legends.
They are.
I mean, at the end of the day, fuck it, man. Jericho would be the one I would think maybe I'm going to kick out. But to me, this motherfucker is building a Mount Rushmore career.
Yeah.
And that Intercontinental Championship. Like I said, this guy also held it in Japan, too.
Yeah.
So, you know what? I said I'd probably turn on Savage. But sorry, Perfect. You're going to have to go first.
Now, has Nakamura held the WWE Intercontinental Championship yet?
Yeah.
So he's done
He's done both, too.
Yeah.
He didn't make our list. Well, he did twice.
He made Zach and mine's, but
not enough people.
Rest of y'all are racist. That's why we're big in Japan. Savage versus Jericho, the
he
final
said something
showdown.
about like a Nakamura when he touched himself. I don't know what that was about, but he didn't make the list. Anyway, I'm gonna go with Jericho, man. That's my pick. You want to disagree? Come on, fucking bring it. You don't want to disagree. You want to. You want to wrap it up.
I don't know. Savage is a legend.
He got
but
it. Is.
Jericho's done it for so long, and I feel like there's more longevity to it.
Jericho said that he wanted to do a feud with whoever the Intercontinental Champion was at WWE at the time when he had the IWGP Intercontinental title.
Okay.
So, I mean, that guy's done more for the Intercontinental title than anyone I can think of.
I know. Savage had that big WrestleMania match over
He
it.
did, but he lost it.
Yeah,
like a
that's
bitch.
true. God damn. And
Steele.
if you talk shit on Jericho, he can find you and come back at you. Savage
ain't doing that. No offense, Randy.
All right, so Jericho's gonna get it this week.
You bet your ass he's gonna get it.
And
AJ said he was gonna get it too. I don't know what you meant by that.
And if you guys agree with us, disagree with us, get a hold of us on Twitter, get a hold of us on Facebook. You know where to find us.
Yeah, get at us.
All right, guys, have a good one.
All right, so that wraps us up for this week. Thank you again for listening to the Working Fans Podcast. So as always, you can find us on Twitter at FansWorking. Our Facebook page is Working Fans Wrestling Pod. We have email where you can reach out to us and let us know what you think also. That's workingfanswrestlingpod@gmail.com. Follow us on Instagram, workingfanswrestling_pod. And then as always, please continue to listen to us on Anchor.fm, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Breaker, Overcast, Pocket Cast, Radio Public, all your major platforms. If you're following us on Apple Podcasts, which we are also on now, and YouTube, please make sure you subscribe and give us a 5-star rating. It helps us bring you these podcasts where we get to talk to you and talk with you every week.